Now for bees, there are a couple of ways of getting bees. Obviously you need some bees in order to raise them and breed them. There are recipes for the hives in here. So if we go to and do a search on hive, you'll find that you can create a water hive by taking this scented artificial hive and combining it with water in a fluid transposer. Similarly, let's say that you wanted a forest hive. This one is in the induction smelter, and induction smelter recipes are showing up right now. If it doesn't show up, reload your game, and it should. This is oak leaves and a scented artificial hive, and if you do what I did and convert all of your oak trees into forestry oaks, then forestry oak leaves will not work in here, and you'll find yourself sifting dirt to get an acorn to get a new oak sapling. It is a recoverable situation. It'll just take you a little effort. So how do we get one of these scented artificial hives? Well, the scented artificial hive is an ex nihilo item. It uses a silk mesh, and it uses a hay bale. And if you take the hay bale and the silk mesh and combine them, you get an artificial hive. Not a scented one. The scented one is actually made in the barrel, combining seed oil and the artificial hive to get the scented one. So let's go over to the other side over here where I actually have some seed oil in a tank with a barrel set up. Alright, so let's take a bucket and get some seed oil, and we'll put it here in the barrel, and then we'll drop the hive in there, pull it back out, scented artificial hive. Alright, another example of a recipe here is the meadows hive. That's actually what I'm going to make. It requires 8 grass blocks and a scented artificial hive in an induction smelter. One of the things that if you were just really observant you might have noticed is that I added silk touch to my shovel. That did enable me to get some grass blocks, so I do have some sitting here. So coming over to the manual induction smelter, let's put those in there, and we got the meadows hive. So coming back over here, I need to make a scoop, and the scoop is used to, 3 will not be enough. The scoop is used to break the hive. It's a special tool just for breaking hives to get bees out. If you break the hive with a pickaxe, so sad for you, you're not going to get any bees. But if we break it using a scoop, we should always get a princess, and most of the time we'll get a drone. And the scoop is just some wool and some sticks like that. Now I've already made a forest hive down here, so let me go ahead and place both of these down in the area that I'm actually going to be raising the bees and break them. They don't have to be broken anywhere nearby, but that's where I have this hive sitting. So let's just take and break both of these. With the forest one, I got a forest drone and a forest princess, and with the meadows one, I got a meadows princess and a meadows drone, and importantly, a comb. Let's put these away, but keep the comb. I don't need the scoop either. The comb is going to be used to make our first bee house, and the bee house is made from wood. We need some slabs, just like that, and we're also going to need some additional wood like this. Now early on we'll have 2 structures available. We'll have the bee house, which is made with a comb in the middle here, and then there's another item you can make that's called the apiary that uses a special thing that's made in the carpenter using seed oil, and it's the same general pattern, but it uses the thing that you made in there instead. The bee house has a few advantages and disadvantages. Bees are more productive in a bee house than they are in an apiary, That's an important one. An important problem with the bee house is that you can't automate it. Nothing will attach to the sides. And another issue that will come up with it is that it's much slower. Bees live a lot longer in it. The actual bee life cycle, you breed the princess and the drone, it produces a queen. It says there's no flowers nearby. I'll have to fix that. And then this bee goes through a life cycle, and at the end of it she dies, always leaving behind one princess and a variable number of drones, which for a forest bee fresh out of the hive will be 3 because of the bee genetics. There's a genetic attribute that says how many drones are produced. We want to get that to 4 on all of our bees because that helps enormously in increasing the number of, not the number of bees you have, but in getting the attributes that you want. The fact that we're going to have a huge number of extra drones doing that is not a problem because we can use them in Botania to produce mana. Since I'm talking Botania and bees at the moment, this is a good time to bring up a relationship between them that's part of the reason that they're on the same platform. It's not so much that you can use drones to make mana. That is helpful. But they are related because if we go and look at these recipes, there's a little bit of an oddity with some of them. And in one case, I think it's a bug, but I showed you the water hive before. Great. Let's move on to the rock hive. And I'm clicking it, and nothing is happening because there is no recipe for the rock hive in here. I think that might have been an oversight, and I'll explain why in a minute, but I need to get these rock bees because they have a lot of very valuable attributes on them that I will want to have. So I want these. We've got a nether hive. We're good there. Then we've got a marble hive. This is actually why I think the rock hive might be an oversight. The marble hive, you can make it, but if you break it with a scoop, you're not going to get anything. Extra bees sort of discontinued the marble hive a long time ago. The marble bees that came in it just don't exist in the game anymore. The hive block is still here because people had them in their world. It's a deprecated item. It doesn't do anything, but you can make it. If we look at some of these others, forest hive, we can make that. Meadows. Most of the others do have recipes of one sort or another. A few of them might be just a little challenging. Mycelium, you're going to need silk touch. Here you're going to need some way to get ice blocks. Then we get to unusual, resonating. Unusual and resonating don't have recipes. There are also some hives that are in the game. Maybe the hive isn't in the game at all. There are some bees that are in the game that come from hives that you don't see here. I'm not sure what's really up with that. It may be the way the mod works. The mod doesn't have them revealed so that they show up in NEI, something like that. But we're going to want some of the bees out of them. There is a way to get these bees that we don't see hives for. It does not involve hives. It involves this very first item, the hyacinth. This is a flower that will use mana to generate bees. Almost all the time it generates a drone. Occasionally you get a princess out of it. The bees that it generates are sort of a random distribution of basic bees. So you do get a lot of different species of bees out of it to get you started. You're only getting the drones, so you're going to have to get princesses from somewhere. So the way that I'm mostly going to do this is I'll be using hives to get princesses and the hyacinth to fill out all the missing species and get lots of extra drones for these particular types of bees. I'll probably also get a few princesses from there along the way, but mostly for princesses, which are the limiting case, I'll be using hives. Let's go back down there, and I do need to take a flower. Do I have a flower here? Not on this side, but I probably should get some dirt as well. Any of the vanilla flowers will do for this. I don't know if there are any mods in this that add much in the way of flowers, but some mods add flowers, and often those mod flowers will also work for the bees. It's not going to work because it's dark again. but now it does have a flower, so when it's light again it will work. Let's make the next generation of mana generation to get going here, and that's going to be a flower called the Endoflame right here. And for the Endoflame, the reason you need mana to make this is because you've got to have this mana powder, which is made by tossing some gunpowder into a mana pool. It looks like there are a number of other things you can toss: redstone, glowstone, sugar. Really, any of these floral powders appear to work too. So there are a lot of things you can toss in here to get it. Gunpowder is actually convenient for me. I brought some down. If I didn't have mana, I couldn't do that. So you are sort of required to make some passive mana generation first. I'm going to pull up the pure daisies. Alright, the other items I needed for the Endoflame were brown, red, and light gray petals in the proportion 2:1:1. So I went ahead and made 4 Endoflames here. I'm not quite ready to put them down. Another thing that I want to do is I want to be able to... These use fuel, and I brought a bunch of blocks of coal here to fuel them. They'll burn up coal to produce mana. I do want to sort of semi-automate it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use an approach I've used a few times before, where they're fueled by coal, and the flow of coal is controlled. If you can get that to work, let's see. There is a way to get this down. I've done it before. I might actually just be able to put that there, because that will provide power to adjacent blocks, just like that. And I can put the hopper really just directly on top of that. Let's give it one more. Yeah, I might not actually need to go below, since it appears that it connects to that. Alright. I'm not as familiar with these framed red alloys. Before I've used... There are a number of different ways to have standing redstone that works for this. I've used the Mine Factory Reloaded ones before. I've used the Ender IO ones. You just need some way of transferring a redstone signal to the hopper to deactivate it. Let's put the block of coal in here and see what happens. So nothing is happening. Silly me, this is a little embarrassing. I forgot a particular component of the solution. Hoppers don't drop stuff directly on the ground. The vanilla solution for that is the item dropper. What you really want to use for this is a Botania block called the open crate, which you just make like this. You take some of your living wood, convert it into living wood planks, and then you use this configuration right here, and it produces an open crate. The idea behind the open crate is that it's an inventory with a hole in the bottom. It's actually not an inventory at all. It's just a block with a hole in the bottom. You feed it with a hopper. The hopper is receiving a signal from the plate that's got the coal on it right now, and so the hopper stops whenever the signal's there. So this will always drop out one coal block on the ground and leave one coal block sitting there. There are other things you need to do if you want to control it, like maybe stop it from dropping anything once your mana pool is full. I'm not going to do that right now. You can use a redstone comparator on a mana pool. The key here is just that we've got some sort of control. So I'm going to go ahead and put down my Endoflames. And what I could do maybe is just replace altogether the day blooms with Endoflames. But let's just go ahead and put down some endo flames. They've got to be within about 5 blocks, I think. Of maybe it might be a little closer than that. These, I'm pretty sure, will reach the plate here, but if they're too far away, they won't be able to see the coal, so that's something to keep in mind. So coal is dropped, and one of them ate it, and another block immediately fell, and one ate that. And so these all now have coal. This block is going to have to sit there and wait until one of them is done burning up its coal, and then it will draw on another block. Now I'm actually not going to use coal for this indefinitely. I will use charcoal because it is a renewable resource and I'm producing a lot of it. But I did bring some coal down just to get it started. That stack of coal, it might come close to filling this pool. I don't know. I guess I'll just have to let it run and find out. Once this pool is full, I'll probably make the hive ascent I showed you earlier and gather some more bees. I'm not going to do a whole lot with Tanya in the short run. It is at the bottom of the magic mod progression.